Is the record? Yeah. Awesome. Great. So this is the agenda. So one is the RFC that has been sent by ONDC. There's been a bunch of PR, not I mean sort of suggested changes to the core core specification. We'll be going through that, and there are some key architecture issues that we'll be discussing regarding the overall network architecture itself, and some protocol level issues as well regarding transaction ID and all. Yeah, those are the only two agenda items. I think the first agenda will take a little bit of while, so I'm going to quickly jump into that.
Ravi, have we taken in the discussions which are there in GitHub and all that also as part of this? Like what we have consolidated that here?
Yeah. So I have added a few of them over here. Okay. But not all of them. So I'm still consolidating all the discussions. Some of them are just like ideas thrown around with sort of no sort of proper backing and all. But some of them which have like proper explanation, I have consolidated them over here.
Okay, cool, good. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go.
So let me just quickly open this up. All right. 1 second. I think I need to stop my share and reshare 1 sec.
And Ravi, you might have to again get your mics in case you're talking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So some of them are pretty straightforward, which we have already discussed in the ONDC review groups calls and all, where we need to add support for payload, any support for cancellation terms, refund terms, replacement terms, return terms, settlement terms, etc. So most of them I have added. We can probably review them offline. So I didn't want to go through all of them because there are around 50 odd items in this list. I just wanted to pick up a few key ones which are a little ambiguous, or it might require some in-depth discussion. So most of them are already there. Payload, cancellation, refund, replacement, as you see, Supriya has already said.
I had a question on this payload transfer. What was the business need for transferring the entire order to logistics? It's not required, right? It's a new order that will get created to logistics.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Because my order was specific. So they typically need size, what kind of size, volume, details. They need type of product, fragile, non-fragile, for insurance purposes. So there's product category. And then, of course, address, pickup address, and so on.
Right.
But I don't think you should transfer that. I don't think actually architecturally that's correct. That's not how you should.
Okay.
I agree.
So let me just open up
What do you think?
No, I think actually I had marked the same thing as to why we need that payload. The whole thing is really not required. I think it is more like you probably need a reference to the other order so that when somebody comes, you can hand off that order. But otherwise, you don't really need any reason to connect the two things. It can be an independent delivery order also, or it can just be a delivery to a retail order. It should not. I mean, whatever is the detail that is needed for the logistics order, that should be there in the logistics order. The complete payload seems like an overkill. I don't see a reason for that. I'm with you.
Totally agree.
It's
So the way you want to do is, Sajit, I'll just come back. So Ravi, the way you want to do it is create a logistics order, proper. What is required for a logistics provider to bid for that particular logistics order. Obviously, from to volume details, product category, things like that. And then logistics related terms will also come. That's what that logistics or delivery order. Any pickup window within which you have to pick up, or if they break it, is there an insurance or a coverage, something like that. If you have some terms related to the transport itself, you can put it in that. Then have simply an independent, all orders should have this, by the way. This is nothing to payload. I think that's something, Venki and I am very familiar with, what's called a chained or linked orders. Even in orders itself, you might have, this order is a repeat order, or this order is in connection with the previous order. B2B and all, we are very common, by the way, as to order. And or order that is cascading has a link reference. So it's a typically you have to have something called a reference order in all order object.
Okay.
I'm saying
Okay.
add this into every order object blindly. Okay, called a reference order. That means a previous order to which this order is referencing to.
Got it.
That can, so logistic can deliver link it to order. An order can link to previous or past order also. Nothing wrong. A return has to be linked to a return order, for example. When you're doing a return, return has to have its own body. Okay. Return is not about handing off the same cascading order.
Okay.
Return is an
So is
independent
return going to be
transaction.
part of the order, or return is something which is in which occurs as a natural, or is as a consequence of a cancellation or a replacement or something like that?
Yeah, but that is the reason why return happens. That is fine. That is a reason code or whatever. But the return also has a pickup origin, delivery. Delivery need not be to the same warehouse from which it's picked up, right? So it can be
it has its own fulfillment life cycle also.
Yeah, it has its own fulfillment cycle. How do you know that guy is coming? You need a tracking guy to come and pick it up. I need a map tracking. Then when I go back, it says, yeah, return has been actually disposed correctly. Then only money will come. And the payback has happened. Except that it is in reverse. That's all is going to happen. But you have to treat it like an order. Type return.
Type return. Yeah. No. So
And
here's
then
the thing.
that will have a reference to the previous order link. That's how it's going to happen.
Understood. But again, the what I'm trying to sort of highlight over here is that, say, there are two things. I think I wanted to first sort of just talk about payload over here, and the meaning of the schema payload over here. See, the payload in core represents any object that is being transported. That could be people in the case of mobility. That could be cargo in term when it comes to logistics, right? One, acknowledge the point that we don't need actual details of the items inside the payload, but sometimes what I received, what the comments that I received were that sometimes when a logistics guy needs to pick up, say, food items or something from say a restaurant and drop it, he may require the details of what are the items that he maybe how many items are there, some description of the items or some categorization of the items that may be required to pick up before he sort of takes out. Because usually what happens is a delivery guy doesn't always pick up just one item per order. Sometimes he picks up items from multiple orders, and then he progressively goes and drops it to various locations. At that time, some reference to the actual items may also help him to drop the items to the respective destinations.
It's a very simple point, I think.
Okay.
Do not assume you are transferring the previous order as is to the next guy. In any cascading or linked scenarios.
Got it.
Treat all of them as independent. Now, of course, if the delivery person needs the type of order or the type of item or a category of item or even slightly detailed, is it, so that, like, for example, ice cream. It's a food category, but requires cool. The category, then you can't hang around and deliver many places and then deliver ice cream. By then it will be milk. Okay, whatever.
Right.
So, especially in Chennai, they want to deliver ice cream. They need to know it is ice cream so that I can deliver it immediately. But I don't need to know whether it's chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream. No.
Right.
So that's a difference.
Okay.
So
it looks like an over design that if you need some information which is not there in this, if I get the regular reference of an item, maybe I can get additional details which was not captured in the spec or in this part of the policy or something beforehand. So it's kind of like laziness which is kicking in. You tell me the whole item, I'll figure out. It is that kind of a thing that's happening rather than actually asking for the real stuff.
Correct. So I think the point here is that it is not a previous orders or a linked orders entire payload being transferred. That is by design is a wrong thing. We are saying every transaction is an independent transaction.
Yeah.
That transaction may have a reference to a past transaction.
Got it.
And transaction could be of various types: return, order. It could be delivery, logistics transaction, and maybe healthcare transaction, the health and so on. Right. So various type of transaction will happen. But for example, in the DHP, if there's a follow through of follow-up consultation, the new consultation booking and order might have a reference to the past order, so that I can, in the UX, I can say, oh, this is in consultation. When I click on it, I get the previous order as a consumer. Or as a doctor, I might have a copy of the previous prescription I wrote. That's fine. But it's not by handing over the entire payload inside the JSON. Just a reference.
Understood.
And each order should carry what is necessary for that order to conduct the order. If logistically need necessary attributes, of course you give necessary attributes. There's nothing wrong. So we are not being opinionated about what that person should have, but don't assume dump the whole previous order inside somehow. That's not how it should be designed.
But actually, when he showed me that payload schema, it doesn't look like the full order. It is some. I think it's more of a naming issue, calling it as payload, because it is like what is being transported is kind of like a metadata. What is being transported? It's like, in atom bomb, it is that uranium.
Yeah, I'm talking about the physical meaning of the word payload.
In that sense, they have put the payload. It is not like the entire JSON.
So payload is not the entire order. Payload is a subsection of an entire order, right?
It just talks about the physical item that is being transported from one location.
But why invent a new one, man? We already have item, no? Why invent
a new thing? This is the confusion even I'm having. Yeah. Why is payload a new term, Ravi?
Because item, the meaning of item is the actual product that is being sold to the
not necessary. I know, and it is in that order. Whoever is the seller, what he is selling, it is not necessary, or like what he is transporting. It is not necessarily this thing. What the retail order is.
Correct. Item is defined in Beckn core. Item is defined as the unit of thing that is being transacted.
Okay.
In the health, how is item mapped here? Same item is mapped.
Item is in health, the item is the actual consultation.
Or a lab, COVID injection or a lab test or whatever, health checkup. So item is not, so in the case of logistics, in the world of logistics, item means the thing that is being transported. That's it.
Okay, no. Okay, here's
there's one difference. I think the way we looked at item in Beckn, at least for far as my understanding goes, and this is also valid for mobility. In mobility and in logistics, item is an element in a catalog, which is what is being sold. So in case of logistics, the item is equal to an express delivery or a scheduled delivery. Maybe the type of service or the lists of different services of logistics is seen as an item in logistics catalog, just like how we see Uber X, Uber Go, or other things in mobility.
Yeah. So item is not the same as payload. Item is the actual product which is being sold. Payload is the physical manifestation or the service.
Basically, it's additional data.
It is like, okay, there is a service I am buying, but this is what I am transporting. Okay, or that.
This is what I'm transporting. Like, for example, mobility, the payload is actually the person who is being transported, right? So that's what I wanted to distinguish.
Which is different from a mobility item. I could be hiring a bus. I can have 5 people or 15 people. That's the payload. But bus hire, charter service is a item in the catalog.
How this is the payload? Is it generalized? Oh, the payload can have objects and persons.
It can have persons. It can have cargo. These are the only 2 things which.
No, I don't think the right word is cargo.
Yeah.
We'll
have to work on
I think I got it from.
I'm asking a question.
Or something.
No, that's because if you look at the delivery, the logistics world, that is fine. But how does this map to I am booking a teleconsultation? What is a payload?
There's no payload over here. There's no physical item which is being transmitted.
But then why is mobility passenger is actually treated as a payload? Why is this passenger a payload in mobility?
Because there is physical movement of items, right, Pramod? So I think, in the case of teleconsultation, there is no physical movement of any item. So payload will not even, like, it will be just null, right? It will be empty.
Oh, payload is mapped as a thing that is being moved, is it?
Moved, yeah.
But
the actual definition, the actual ontology of the word payload I've used, basically.
What about in the virtual world when I'm actually doing what is there might be an equivalent, right? I'm very sure. Why is it so physical only is considered a payload?
I think we should use words like shipment or something like that. Payload, I'm not too sure, but we'll have to figure out what.
And also, it's
I was doing
JSON
a sort of
payload.
No. This is nothing to do with the actual JSON payload or the object
I know.
payload.
I think let's change that payload. I think I was very confused with that word by payload.
Okay. And I think it's probably because we are all using payload for the actual request body. But yeah, I mean,
which is why I was kind of
confused to be the most generic name to any object that is being moved via a transportation sort of medium, right? So it works.
I think 2-3 things.
Yeah.
One,
I have a question also. If I'm booking an airline ticket,
yeah,
item is the actual journey, right? In the sense that
economic class ticket.
Economic class ticket from Bangalore to Delhi, let's say.
Yeah.
And there are 4 people traveling. Those 4 people's detail will be in the payload array of people.
Yes, it will be there in the payload.
But it's so crazy, why would you need that? You're just buying 4 separate tickets, It's like 4 separate.
No, sometimes in railway and all, you need PNR, you need the details of the person.
One product, additional details. No, but how is this? This could be very. This then is mapped to any additional data that is required to conduct that transaction, right? Do we have to be strictly aligning to the thing that is being transported? I'm asking, because it could be, we talked about docs array, we talked about additional data I have to give if I'm applying for a job, right?
Yeah.
If I'm looking for a job, the job itself is the item. And then obviously along with the job, I have to give some documents, and then I have to give my details, I have to give my name, and I have to give my engineering degree certificate, a few additional documents. Why are they all not mapped in the same way then? I see a lot of similarity in among them, lot of common way to say this is the additional data required to conduct that transaction, right? For example, if I'm buying insurance, I have to explain to them what is the size and what is the type of product being insured. Then insurance company will say, I also need that additional data, right? To kind of finalize the transaction. It could be it could be a person detail, it could be a person detail, it could be an object detail, or it could be documents. All these are similar then.
Okay.
You know why we're
got it. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. So you're saying that the additional physical descriptions of the whatever objects that are used in that transaction.
Yeah, so
it might just not be.
Yeah, so it could be people of type people. It could be your type objects. It could be your type documents or URLs. I mean, we can then say among these, we can map all kinds of interesting additions. For example, the airline ticket, it will be people name. If I'm shipping something, it will be a physical thing. If I am exchanging virtually, it might be a set of documents and my detail also, maybe a person detail and document detail in the virtual world, right? Teleconsultation, I have to give my details also, no? And also they might say, oh no, I need maybe, you're applying for a job. Maybe you need Aadhaar card or PAN card or identity cards and so on, right? So there might be very interesting way to map people, things, and docs in general. Docs, I say.
But all of these are there in descriptors, no? Like when I'm buying a service, why not add additional things in the descriptor itself to describe additional things about the item? Like if I'm buying a ticket.
Oh, this is very interesting. I was saying that this is the input the buyer in the transaction, buyer of that transaction have to provide to close the confirm the transaction. So it's not a catalog description.
Yeah. It's more like in the unit you have to give the shipping details or the billing details.
Or the I'm volumetrics. I might have to provide the volumetrics, or I might have to provide my tax identifier or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah.
So this is the header as well as at line level. So you could take it at any level.
Yeah, it could be at the line level as well. Correct.
Understood.
Line or order level. Okay. Agree. Yeah.
Okay, so we could, what I am getting as a recommendation is we could abstract the word payload further to sort of to sort of describe any additional information related to the people, things, and documents involved in finalizing a transaction.
Finalizing the transaction. This is the, but this is, instead of payload, you call, this is the, okay, input payload. This is what the buyer has to provide to the seller.
Right.
In buyer seller term, or be
another thing is, Ravi, one more thing what I'm seeing is most of the stuff I was looking through some of the other discussions that you're seeing is payload is kind of becoming more and more similar to item. I was thinking, why not have additional items which are just meta items which are as part of the order itself, and just add whatever you want, add documents, add people, whatever you want as are just items.
Okay.
Some of them are meaningful, they are like sold items. Some of them are like additional items which are just needed to describe.
No, but these are not items, right? So what the difference in my mind, Venki, is that item is what the seller is saying is in the catalog.
Yeah.
Then I choose the item, and for item I need all kinds of descriptions. Short description, long description, images, video. I don't know what we need. We need a mechanism to describe the catalog, right? Really, a flexible catalog.
Yeah, this is what the buyer is giving.
This is the buyer. This is what you're adding now is the buyer has to provide the seller this input to actually complete the transaction.
Correct.
So, a payment is one such thing. Obviously, the payment is a higher level first class citizen. So we made it a first class citizen that you obviously have to make the payment. But there might be additional data required. For example, airline classic ticket is, let's say you use Beckn for airline ticket. You have to say, oh, do you want meals? That's an item, no problem. So I added an item because meals is an item in the catalog which I'm choosing. But name of the passenger is not a catalog item.
Yeah.
Name of the passenger, but buyer has to actually provide age, date of birth, or whatever, nationality or whatever. Otherwise, the ticketing can't happen.
But actually, Pramod, it is more like a multi-buyer situation here. Like it is like think of it like there are like multiple orders with each one being one item for which is booked by one particular person, and that person is the buyer of the transaction.
No, this is a difference.
But here, because there are 4 of them, it's like a multi.
No, Venki, you're confusing customer with the actual, customer would be the guy who's making the purchase. Like I am booking for 4 people.
Yeah. I mean, billing person is one, but these are the 3 people who are actually going.
Yeah, but we are not capturing that in the customer info, no, today.
No, we are not. But I'm saying that it is basically in it is like kind of a multiple order mixed into one, which makes it looks like that is a different entity.
No, it's not multiple orders. I just want one ticket. Let's say I am using app, Beckn and a BAP app, to like make my trip type of thing, and I'm making a flight ticket booking for my family. In that case, I am the customer, and then of course billing and all that thing is there. So Beckn maps that very well, no problem at all. But in the order, just before closing the order, I need to give passenger details. That's nothing to do with me as a buyer. This passenger details, the input I have to give it to Indigo to actually make the booking. Sure. And where do you capture that input? Passenger detail means some details about people. Maybe I have some details about things also. Maybe let's say I'm doing a cars. I'm just giving car for a service or a repair or whatever, that kind of service. Then I have to give car details and maybe a photographs attached and all that thing, right? To close the order. So this is the additional input. I might have to give. Input doesn't have to be about people.
But is it not linked with the catalog? Like it is not linked with the catalog. Like for example, suppose if I'm buying one. No, but I'm like suppose if I'm buying one first class ticket for Pramod Verma and one.
That is a 2 different orders. Typically, today's world, airline doesn't allow you to mix in the same PNR 2 different classes, right?
Okay.
So in today's world, when you look at ticketing, you can't say, oh, Delhi, Bangalore, and then I also want Chennai, Kerala. Then airline doesn't allow you to mix these 2. It's a single. So, but within one ticket, To complete that ticket transaction, I need to provide my gender, name as an identity card of the passenger, not of the buyer.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm buying for my mother or something, right? It doesn't matter.
Correct.
Yeah. So that question is that anytime you conduct a buyer-seller transaction, as a buyer, I might have to, because the transaction is of particular type, I'm buying car insurance, let's say, online. So the item is insurance product. Then I have to provide my make, model, car photograph, so that the insurance actually can become. These are additional inputs I have to give. My RC book, things like that. I might do. Okay. So this structure is to capture that input, additional input to complete the transaction. Now what we are saying is that the additional inputs of type people details, things details, or documents/attachments, right? Attachments. That's what's going to happen. So we abstracted into those three types of arrays. Three arrays: people details, object details, and some attachments. These are typically soft attachment. The attachment can be a URL, PDF, whatever the attachment. So if I'm buying service for my pet, then obviously I have to give my details about the things. That's how it will look. If I'm buying an urban company painting, then I have to give my current number of bedrooms. Will apartments / villa type, which floor, some details I have to provide so that we can complete. So the real question is that we didn't have that structure to provide that input in Beckn.
And some of these inputs are required to generate the final order quotation, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Some of them may not be at all. Some of them later also you can share, not a problem. But ticketing and all, you can't close the transaction without some things. So I think just to close this out, I think first of all, I don't think we should call it payload, because I don't think physically being transported need not have that connotation of physically being transported. We should say this is the structure through which the buyer, through the buyer app, additional data can be captured about the people as part of the transaction. If it's about ticketing example, or if it's about things, then I can carry things, any details about the things, like item detail, or the volume, box detail. I want to give packaging details or whatever, things like that, and then or attachments, typical attachments, and everything is then after that is attachment.
Got it. Pramod, just one question here.
Maybe just 1 second, Pramod. Even if let's say we add all of this, okay? Yeah. I somehow feel that payload seems to be more like a retrospective fit, thinking of a cascade transaction for logistics. Even then, even if this payload is defined the way we are defining it, changing the name and everything, I still don't think this can be transferred as is to the next transaction. It has to still be anonymized and
the
reference, right?
We already discussed that. There is no such thing as transferring as is.
Yeah.
Every order needs to be constructed with appropriate data in that order.
Yeah.
The data might come automatically pre-filled from the previous transaction. That I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But it has to be self-contained.
Yeah, it has to be self-contained. Correct. And then we also discussed that every order object in Beckn can have a reference order or reference orders if you want to give multiple references as a generic structure. Okay. Then give at the top itself. Every order can have reference order. Maybe it's a reference order, multiple, just an array of reference order. That means if I am, follow through order, some other B2B has many recurring orders that is based on one big purchase order. I might want to reference something, I can actually do things like that. Very common in logistics, referring to the order ID.
But even referencing for a cascaded transaction, which is between a buyer app and a seller app, if I have order one, and between the seller app and the logistic apps, I don't know if that is a reference order kind of an argument. I understand if there's a recurring purchase order and I'm invoking the same terms again and again for a new purchase.
Not like that. This is also what's called a linked order. This is why it's called a reference. Our Beckn order structure allow you to carry a reference to a previous transaction.
Only for traceability. largely.
Yeah, like for example, if I'm picking up the order, I should be able to look at my app, look at the reference order ID, look at the bill and see, okay, same order ID, and I can pick it up. Like something like that. Right?
Yeah, I might have a different transportation, because delivery guys will give it something called a tracking number. That's not order number, no, original order number. But this is why I'm saying it's not a take the order and stuff it inside the delivery. That's not how you do it. You construct a delivery order properly.
Correct. Yeah.
And if delivery, almost always the delivery order will link to the sales order, actual order, right? What is the order number? That through you capture that through a reference order, okay? And then within order structure, within the delivery order structure, make sure you have an item properly picked up and additional details that is actually provided to them. And if most of the data is pre-filled automatically from the order, let it be. This is good, no big deal. Humans need not enter anything at all.
So therefore, I don't know what was the ONDC's comment. Are they saying just reproduce the JSON for payload, or are they just, I mean, we need to re-articulate the problem, because I don't think reproducing is the solution anyways. So we need to make sure that the concern is well addressed.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think where they're coming from is something which you have sorted. Like, I think they basically want the logistics guy to have some idea of what is he transporting, right? I think that's the essence of what they want. I don't think even they were able to articulate it very well, but that, obviously you don't need the entire order object. What will they even do with that? All the logistics guy will do with that entire order information, right? What were the items in the cart? What were the settlement terms?
Right? How much was it paid for? Why should
what if there's a preferential price for that particular buyer? Why should the logistic guy know it?
So this is fine. I think this takes care of it. Venki, you raised the hand.
So basically, this is to actually complete this discussion. So see, like suppose if in that same airline example that you're talking about, Pramod, like suppose if I am booking an economy class ticket and there are two passengers who are going, Pramod Verma and Venki Mahadevan are going in that ticket. Pramod has a preference of non-vegetarian food and Venki has a preference of vegetarian food, which actually depends on, let us say that changes the price in some way.
Yeah.
So you can't actually keep it like an independent metadata at the order level. It has to be at the line level that you say that, this is an economy ticket with these preferences. This is an economy ticket with these preferences. And with this one, Pramod Verma is associated. In another one, it is associated with Venki Mahadevan. So I'm saying this meta information that we are talking about,
at line level.
It could be at both levels. I think we can keep it both levels to be generic enough so that you can avoid some duplication. But line level will definitely be needed.
I agree with you. But in your particular example, by the way, there's...
No, I didn't understand. What do you mean by line level?
The same structure,
the meta.
Input structure, input data
okay.
might be captured at the line level, right? I mean, I have two line items. One,
item level.
Yeah, item level. Yeah, item.
Okay.
So this whole structure might be at the order level or the item level, or might have its own attachment. An item might have its own attachment to complete it, right? For this item, I have to provide additional data, additional inputs, right?
Oh, okay. I mean, this is the seller saying that to book or to buy this item, I need this information.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The whole structure is only for that, right? Whole structure is only to provide additional data to the seller to actually book the transaction. So Venki is making the point that don't keep it this structure only at the order level. Also make it available optionally at the item.
Right.
Okay, that's
of course.
Okay.
At the order level, this is the buyer providing the information. At the item level, this is the seller providing this information.
No.
Both places buyer is only providing.
Both buyer is providing.
No. I got it. What I'm saying is, when I'm publishing the catalog as a seller, I as a seller need to provide the details, what details I need for you to book that order, right? That's what this item will take, right? And when the buyer is placing the order, it's the buyer who has to provide that information. So there will be two objects. One will be in the item and one will be at the order level.
Yes.
Okay.
No, but
both levels.
Both levels.
Both levels. Yes. Not and. It's not or. It's and. Yeah.
See, seller is declaring at the order level what additional data seller needs, and at what item level optionally what additional data they need. This seller is metadata will come. Based on that, BAP app will pop up and ask additional data. Please upload your ID card, provide your name, whatever it is, and then pass it back to the seller.
So which means that at an item level, that each of these attributes will have some sort of like a required attribute or something like that.
Yeah, that's how the seller will say.
That is what seller will say. Yes.
Seller will say what type of data they need, and it's mandatory or optional.
In the init API, you might have like these may be necessary in your schema.
Correct.
Ravi.
Okay. How to represent it will work.
Yeah, we will figure that out. Yeah. But I'm saying basically it can be an array at both order line as well as order item level. Yeah.
But by the way, specifically that example, Venki, interesting example you used about the non-veg food item. If the price changes, typically what happens when you're picking from a catalog, okay? So there might be, these are called add-ons in the flight ticket. These are add-ons there. For each person, I can say, I want extra seat, window seat. Oh, that requires 50 rupees.
Correct.
But then it has to be a catalog item. So it's called add-on items, okay? Typically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When I'm attaching
no, but I might want to attach Pramod Verma to a particular set of add-ons and Venkatraman to a different set of add-ons.
We agree.
That way. Yeah. I think we are on same page. I think fine.
Pramod, just one check on the additional details that we're talking about. Should we classify them as necessary to complete the order and those as additional nice to have? Should that be two separate sets, or are we not distinguishing the two?
No, we are saying required or not required. Seller will say it's mandatory or not mandatory.
So seller will declare this information is required.
Yeah.
And so therefore the order will not get completed if those are left empty.
Correct.
But it could be other information like in the job. I may probably not require the CV or your Aadhaar number now. Probably I'll do a verification after the offer is given.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. You can optionally provide your ID card. Yes.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I think we spent almost like 40 minutes on this.
In the passage, in the airline, classic example of this your mileage number. Frequent flyer is an optional field.
Yeah.
Classic example.
Correct.
Okay. So just one quick, this is a question for you also, like more of a project management question. How do we do this? Like we do have around 50 items or so.
No, that was only one I had when I looked through, which had a fundamental disconnect. The others were much easier for me.
Got it. So let me just pick up one more item over here. This was around adding domain and subdomain inside the context. What I and Venki,
domain, right?
Yeah, we have domain, but what me and Venki seem to also agree on is it even required to have a subdomain? Subdomain is very generic, right? You don't know what sort of categorization are we doing at a subdomain level.
Is it a protocol? My concern is it a protocol level thing or a network policy level thing? At what level should it be answered? This resolution of domain.
Definitely not network policy. Let's ask the reason. I think if I remember correctly, this reason of this came up saying that if I have 10,000 BPPs, then
it is more like gateway optimization.
Yeah, it was a pure search optimization, broadcast optimization problem. Okay, they're saying that can we broadcast it to a shorter? Do we need 2 levels of context parameter to optimize broadcast? 2 levels. Whether you call since you called domain, they just said subdomain. That's
correct.
It's just a mechanism to think. And what is the values of domain subdomain is managed at the network level. Values.
Yeah, that's what I meant. This enumeration of domains
on network level.
It's a network level, right? But we need to put a placeholder for a subdomain definition facility in the protocol.
So I think they were asking that by doing a 2-level thing, could the broadcast be further refined? Broadcast only.
Yeah. I think that brings to the other question, Ravi, about the gateway itself.
Yeah.
I think take that also along with this. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think let's pick that up. I think this is an important topic over here anyways, broadcast optimization. First of all, see the domain subdomain categorization. For example, if you look at NIC 2004 or 2008, Domain categorization has been done quite well, right? It's just that if the network says that in order for you to search for a specific subset of services offered by multiple BPPs, I'm not talking about location right now, right? We'll come to that. If I want to just do a domain level filtering, if I am just passing the relevant NIC category code in my domain, won't that sufficiently filter out my BPPs?
What is NIC categories? You're talking values, right?
The values,
value.
right? NIC.
So basically, like he's saying that don't consider domain as retail. The NIC codes already has a very granular categorization of domains. Use one of the more granular domains as something that somebody will register. So if somebody wants to register as retail, it is one option. Another is somebody registers for grocery, somebody registers for fashion, and so on and so forth. So depending on what you are searching, you could potentially go. But the only difference, Ravi, here is we might internally need to know that when I am searching inside retail for something which is actually a fashion product, I might actually need to broadcast it to fashion also. So there is a concept of a hierarchy that we will have to understand internally in the registry. So that when you do a lookup on a particular domain, its hierarchically lower domains are also considered. Now, this hierarchy is a typical problem which will create a mess, because you can have the same you can have multiple hierarchies in which the same thing can be fitted, and these are like arbitrary. So you will not be able to actually have a fairly exhaustive way of searching it. So it's a recipe for disaster. I mean, I would tread this subdomain little carefully.
And also, I think, first of all, I don't think we should have hierarchy there, because hierarchy creates, if somebody searches at the top, then I have to make sure all the subtrees are also broadcasted, right? I think suddenly the gateway and the registry now has to deal with, the hierarchy management. And anyway, these values are arbitrary, frankly.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So I think we could stick with the saying that if you want a slightly granular, just enumerate granular one level and move on domain.
No, send this in message category, no, right? Like, I mean, why are we doing platform categorization based on domains and subdomains, right?
No,
like platform level,
I mean, I
like
think
there is a retail BPP who is,
if you say everything is grocery, let's say we've only one, let's go with the assumption that there's only one domain. Okay, we don't need hierarchy, subdomain and domain.
Okay, got it.
But then they'll say what values of domain allows a reasonably optimized search to happen. So let's say they decide retail at that level, then everybody will get bombarded with searches that may not be relevant to them.
Understood.
But if they go into grocery, restaurants like that, retail, if you go into at that level and simply list that as, would there be a negative effect of going and simply mapping it to grocery? That's my question. What if ONDC, for example, maps everything into the low level, what they call subdomain, basically map entire domain to subdomain only, Why do you need a top level domain then? That's a question you're asking.
No,
right?
my point exactly.
Correct. That's what I was
my
asking.
point exactly, right?
Yeah.
Why doesn't ONDC simply tell the platform saying that, hey, if you are a grocery domain, use this. Let's say NIC 2004 is not sufficient, right?
Yeah.
We can still have some level of category codification at an ONDC level also. If suppose if NIC is not
ONDC
cutting
can
it.
Adopt.
Sure.
They can adopt. That's okay. They can create. It's just a collective.
The only problem is a top level search. It's only a top level search for a BAP. Like if a BAP, somebody goes and says, I want to get 5 kg rice. Don't force the buyer to choose a category, because then in that case, that if he chooses the wrong domain, he might not find the product. So ideally, buyers should not have to figure out what domain. Hey, let me think. Should this come in electronics or should it come in laptops? I don't know. Yeah. So you should not have that type of a confusion created for the buyer. Otherwise, the BAP will have to put that hierarchy story in them. So that, I mean, whoever absorbs it, but I'm saying that will become the problem.
But even then, Venki, my question is the resolution of domain will come from the buyer. Let me give you an example. So if, for example, the buyer, the actual human buyer on the buyer app, says us with a random word called milk. Okay.
Correct.
Now, a buyer app, how will the buyer app know whether milk is like a milk as a milk packet, or is it a milkshake from a restaurant, or it's a milk cake or something like that?
This has to be very clear. Let's say it's a super app. I'm building a super app.
Right.
Order food, book hotels, book tickets, airline tickets, book, buy products from shop. These has to be cards. There's no other way you can track this. Then those cards will be mapped to the category. That means if I say buy food, it will map to the food category. That's it.
So
everything under food will go into that domain called food.
So which means the buyer app will have to define the determination. They will
not buyer app.
Domain
based
resolution.
On whatever. Let's say ONDC has 10 categories.
Yeah.
Hospitality, tourism and hospitality. Then air travel. Okay. Then we have food, and then we have regular products, retail products. You can't say electronics because that gets very tricky, okay? Because I don't know whether I'm buying an audio product, video product, whether it's in electronics or laptop. That kind of category is a cataloging problem. It's not a domain problem. Domain level, you should say buy products, run shop for products. Clothes can be different if you want clothes to be different. So what normally humans understand, you have to keep it at that level. Let's say there are 5 such categories, the domains, or 6 domains in ONDC, or book taxi, or something like that. Then you'll have 5, 6 categories at the top. That's it. That's all the domains are.
Yeah. No, I think see, NIC fairly decently categorizes all these things, right? There are actual categories for each one of these things.
I'm not sure whether we want a grocery is fine, but I want to buy bulb, USB cable. Maybe I'm looking for something in Amazon catalog. There is, Amazon is a super seller, no? So for the end user, these are just products I am looking for. I don't want to know which category they belong to.
So Pramod, then is the question really about having or maybe a more granular list of domains rather than a hierarchical domain subdomain kind of an architecture?
Exactly. So this is what we are saying. Category management has to be left to the seller. Categorization, because this is many-to-many relationship. Products to categories always many-to-many relationship. That means one product can belong to multiple categories. One category will have multiple products. Okay. It is not a strict hierarchy problem. That has to be left to the seller platform. The question is there a top level?
Yeah.
5, 6 categories. Obviously, tourism. Why should make my trip keep on getting bombarded when I want to buy wheat, atta, or rice, right?
So all of them as first-class categories, no hierarchies.
Correct, first class. That's why we called it domain. We call it domain for that first class. It's not categories. I mean, top level sort of domain. And this is why we should read the word domain and it's not a category, because e-commerce categorization, catalog, it's a full-fledged catalog management is an art by itself.
Yeah.
People will be sitting and creating catalogs, categorization, make it easier for browsing, searching, and all that thing, right? This is a domain. Domain means, is it a travel, hospitality, food, ticketing, like that, top level? Obviously, I don't want to buy milk when I look for ticket, airline ticket.
Yeah.
That is okay. So that is top level domains. ONDC should, or any network, Beckn enabled network, should define that enumerating top level category. Typically, we can even recommend those categories collectively because of the first big network coming up. And that becomes almost everywhere across the world. Yeah? What's the difference?
Yeah.
It is nothing. Whether I want to buy retail products, this is one category. I want to buy tickets, one category. I want to buy, some, let's say,
apparel,
or health related something.
Insurance.
Insurance. Maybe it's a very different top level. So I think we should keep it. This is why we call it domain. I think it is correct only. We should stick with that domain. No subdomain needed there. And the domain should categorize to say, but there is a question saying that I am only selling electronic products, but I will come under any retail product domain, right? I will come under retail and I'll keep on, even when you search for let's say I'm searching for mattress. I'm listening to pillow. Amazon will happily respond to it, or a Snapdeal will happily respond to it, or a big platforms will respond to it. But there might be a small platform who is a niche platform who is selling only electronics products. And then he say, oh, but you keep on sending me. I actually don't need. I wish there was one more level. This is why this discussion came up. Okay.
So can we? I mean, can this? I'm guessing this can be also solved architecturally, right? There could be actual services which act as API gateways, which only redirect certain, like proxy endpoints, like which redirect certain types of requests to the respective VPP if they don't have bandwidth to sort of handle that much load.
No, because what will happen is this goes back to even the gateway may not know. I'll tell you why. Let's say there is a domain called retail products. No, food is separate category, let's say. But buying a pillow, buying a stationery, pencil, pen, and stationery, or buying a USB cable, you can't. It's all the same domain, no. You can't go down to another level there. So let's say.
No, I'm thinking this could. Yeah, that's exactly my point, right?
No.
There could be a separate service, right? Which.
It can't work.
What I was saying is, it cannot be separate service. I'll tell you why. Let's say in the super app, Beckn enabled app, there's something called buy retail products. And food, there's a big one. So human beings very quickly understand, oh, if I want to buy food, I go here. And if I want to buy tickets, I go here. And if I want to buy other products, I just click retail products, shop for products or whatever. Then I get a search. Then I type the word pillow. Okay. Now,
how do you know where pillow?
Where the pillow? You don't know. The pillow has to be broadcasted to one niche seller platform who only sells electronic products. Now might get complaint, might say, this is what's going on. All the searches keep on coming to me, right? So this is the conundrum that we are dealing with. That means if there are slightly bigger platforms, they don't care. They are actually like this because the platform will have multiple catalogs, okay, multiple types of catalog, and they'll deal with it. But if my catalog is only electronics products, not pillow, not stationery. How do you know pen is not electronic? Very difficult to categorize. You can't at the registry level. You can't deal with this.
You can't do it. It's not
you can't do this. Okay, because maybe a pen has a electronic or turn off or something there. Also, he might categorize into both also.
Slide.
Maybe categorize into both categories. So we can't go into that level. Then in the search box, I type, smart pens. Now, I don't know smart pen. You have to search only. Nothing you can do. And the person who is only selling a bed and pillow will say, oh, what is a smart pen? Something and all coming to me. I only sell bed and pillow.
Right.
What like?
Right.
So
there's this problem that ONDC is posing, or the solution that it seems to assume in its. I mean, if you look at that, allow broadcast optimization with domain subdomain will allow sending specific search results, specific seller apps. This assumes that the gateway will be able to figure out this
interpret
buyer app, which is wrong, right?
It's wrong. No, according to me, even the buyer app may not be able to figure out exactly what you're searching.
Yeah.
And gateway definitely should be looking into the search and trying to figure out which category and try to optimize.
Actually, what Ravi mentioned, there is one play out there which tomorrow participants might even there are software vendors who might come in and help out. Is basically the BPPs when they are saying that I am getting all this pillow coming to me, I am a electronics guy, whatever. If there is bad categorization of domains, people will be unhappy at that, and some players might come and say, you show me your catalog, I will come sit inside your cloud and respond to I will become your search handler. So as a search handler, I will ensure that faltu things don't come into your stuff at all. So those kind of services people might offer, and that might be something that might be a business thing at some level, till as long as the domains don't become good enough.
So this brings in a very, very interesting possibility. I think, Venki, you posted that in the discussion forum as well. The big topic, right? Today search, we have a blind gateway, one gateway to broadcast. So I think if the first of all, we can't mandate that the search catalog, search entities have to be incorporated in the architecture because that is a bad setup.
Correct.
So we are saying that let it be organic. So if there are small BPPs, they should be able to front end themselves with a smarter search. Let's say Google's of the world. Microsoft is interested in building a Beckn search, smart search catalog discovery with voice, all that thing, right? I know Alexa type of situation, right? I can speak to it and all that thing. Very interestingly, they might front end this. Then the URL, we might need some architectural construct to say this BPP's gateway search URL is this, but the after search URL, the catalog URL is. We can separate those two, right? Today we can, right? I thought we could. Yeah. That means if let's say I have a third-party search handler, I'm a BPP. Let's say I'm a PPP like Peppo. Okay, I don't want to deal with this search because my search is slightly primitive. I can't deal with all this bombardment of search, or I may not be even smart enough to respond correctly. So I partner with one of these tech search providers who is just an SDK play, right? Oh, I give my catalog to them. They index it with voice and multilingual, and let's say they are basically an AI-driven, smart catalog search engine. Let's say they come like a Google version of it, right? In that case, in the registry, what would be the URL? That BPP, when that BPP registers the URL, they will register the pepper.google.com equivalent URL. Let's
so Pramod, actually, this was a problem that what you're saying is an issue for me also. I'll tell you, as an accelerator, I am trying to bring some people.
Yeah.
And the URL that comes, I'm a cloud accelerator.
Yeah.
So I have put the cloud accelerator URL in the registry for people to come, but that is across the board.
Yeah.
So some of these things I am doing some validation and passing it off to my internal, destination URL, which is hosted by these people.
Yeah.
So the accelerator provides this, but we don't have it by API. We have it like across all APIs, we have one endpoint in the registry.
Okay. So I think what we could bring out is we could bring this out saying in the registry, categorize search as one and the BPP URL as separate. Okay. Actual BPP URL. BPP you can register both as same. I mean, if BPP is smart BPP, like
so you're saying it will be a separate search registry in some sense.
Not a registry, just 2 entry point per BPP.
No, every registry entry has a BPP URL, endpoint URL.
Yeah, I mean,
along with that, you add another URL.
Basically, I'm saying search is an independent endpoint, right? That's what I'm saying.
But no, but the statement you said is that there will be 2 separate registries. No, separate 2 registries. I just want to make sure there's only one registry and only one thing called BPP. From a network perspective, there is only a proper entity called a BPP. When the BPP registers, they have 2 URLs they can register. Okay, a search URL and subsequently
so it's
transaction URL.
One record per BPP, but 2 columns, if I were to put it there.
Yeah. But actually, Pramod, I was also thinking it might actually not be required, though it's possible. It is basically like keep only one URL, which is by the thing, and handle through DNS names and through forwarding and stuff like that. You can actually manage that jugglery internally.
Or alternatively, the search, I will always give that search URL and make all URLs
second class to search.
So, as part of on search, I could have returned the subsequent URL. No, I could have returned saying that for this item, hit this URL for init, right? Init next init URL is. But one of the things, Venki, I want to do a repeat order. I've come across this situation where I don't need to search. I already know.
You can directly do confirm with the final. You can do the confirm directly.
For that, I need a direct URL. I don't want to go to the Google URL. Okay.
Oh yeah. Don't go to the
I think let's give 2. I think we could allow the 2 URLs saying that if I want a direct init onwards call this URL, base URL only anyway.
Base URL only.
URL. But some of them might say I'll only publish one URL and I internally manage using DNS and all that thing. That's fine.
Then you put both of them same and then I'll manage
both of them same.
That also is okay.
Yeah.
But how does this solve the problem, Pramod? If I have one endpoint for search and the rest of APIs?
So I think what is happening is that suddenly there might be only, even though there are 10,000 BPP platforms, there might be only 20 search platforms.
Oh, you're trying to get the accelerator guys to do this.
Yeah, catalog search. Basically, they are very, very, very specialized, multilingual.
Got it.
Voice enabled. Hindi, Arta, and all. I can type Arta.
Basically, guys, you can offer Elasticsearch.
Basically, it's Google. Basically, mechanized version of somebody like Google or Microsoft.
Got it.
Who could give this? And maybe there could be 5 other people also. We don't care.
Yeah.
But this is an option, though. I think this is not an architectural mandate.
One problem we will have, Pramod, on this one is about signing.
Okay.
Because if there are like multiple parties who are serving different URLs, the signing keys either will need to be shared by multiple people, or the signing keys will have to be okay to be different for the two of them, in which case you will need multiple people's signature keys to be stored. So signing is one issue that we might have if we put a different URL for this.
Do we need signing for this first level search?
We need signing for everything today.
Yeah,
I know, but that's more of a policy matter and not an architectural decision.
No,
right?
I mean,
it is also a denial of services prevention thing, no?
Right. Or it could also be even policy violation. If somebody sends me some restricted items or some illegal items in my catalog, if I get caught because of that, I need some sort of traceability, right? So that this guy signed and sent this catalog. He can't claim later on that I didn't send so and so. So as of now, right, everything is
got it. Yeah.
So I think what we are saying is that let's accommodate these nuances. Instead of sharing keys and all that thing, we should actually accommodate saying that if there is a separate URL, the signer key is different from the primary one. And also, frankly speaking, security guys will say, I will use multiple keys to sign, randomly. Can I put any of those keys, right? So I think we might just look at that and say, allow one or more keys in general, as long as BPP is managing through an admin panel, right? In some sort of admin panel in the network, I am managing my key. I should be able to rotate them. Maybe one key for the entire transaction forever, and it's not anyway a good assumption. So we should allow that.
No, I was also thinking that I think we should probably put keys in a different table and only look at.
That we already suggested. Now we created that registry recommendation. In that we had actually pulled out keys to a separate thing. We created a TRD and all also for NSDL. I don't think they used it though, but our reference registry goes by that only. We have separate, we can have multiple keys in our reference registry.
Okay, then one of the things, let's use the reference registry itself, at least for ONDC, let's make sure our reference registry architecture with 2 URLs and multiple keys are coming in. And the decision on the domain is that we will keep it at the domain only, flat domain. And it has to be human friendly, very simple. It will be obvious to the buyer, okay, food here, travel here. It can't be milk here and that here and all, okay? That you can't go down to that level, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay, perishable food, that food and all, we can't categorize, vegetables, like that and all, we can't categorize. That is all cataloging problem, okay? Now Nandini Parlor as a BPP might keep on clipping why vegetable search is coming to me. Obviously, that is, then we already discussed saying that there could be search providers who are optimizing this in between. They can always sign up with one of the search providers.
Understood. Got it. Fair enough. I think this is good. I think this is something which is closely related. Pramod, do you have time?
And this also, now we also talked about the search response coming back from that BPP. So the search engine gateway cannot keep playing this game. Okay. We should have a mechanism to, the BPP should take care of it and BAP. So the response also can be BAP encrypted. That way, on search responses are intended for the BAP, it should come only to the BAP. Now, if I was
that's the whole point. Does it even have to go through the gateway?
That's what Venki's question. Yeah, right. Venki's question. No, it doesn't have to be. It never had to in our original mind, in our original design also.
No, we only wanted to put gateway because we thought this optimizations will come, and we didn't want everybody to be optimizing the hell out in different ways and stuff like that. Let us keep one component which we will optimize the hell out of it and get it solved. That was kind of the thought process why we put the gateway.
But that changed now, right? Now we are decentralizing that innovation, saying that while there might be some natural organic tech provider like a search catalog provider who is emanating, they are nothing but a BPP partner. They are a tech provider to the BPP. But other than that, really, it's not an
entity. It is only an equal opportunity.
Yeah.
Equal opportunity, that too for search broadcast, not for reverse traffic. Reverse traffic can be direct one-on-one without gateway. So on search, we can avoid gateway.
Yeah, on search, we should avoid, I think. Yeah.
On search, we should avoid. Yeah, absolutely. We should come straight.
Yeah. Right now, ONDC mandates on search to go through the gateways. That might be something that we need to get them to change, but that's okay. The second thing is even
again it's important to promote. We discussed this because on search also leads load and then commercial consideration for gateway and all go up.
Yeah, we don't need it.
Because on search we don't know the size of data, right? That comes in on search. Largely we can still say that it's essentially search. Yeah.
And
so I just wanted to double click on what you had said. Okay. Is there, because I do face a little bit of trouble when I'm trying to explain what you exactly mean by democratization of search, right, and equal opportunity. Just by broadcasting it to a bunch of BPPs, how are we? I mean, how
you're giving them, you're giving everybody a chance to respond, and you're not denying them an opportunity. That's what we mean. Whether I want to respond is my call, but I should know that I can respond if I question is, am I denied? For example, if somebody is searching for a ride and if it only goes only to 2 apps while there are 15 seller apps, then that's not democratization. How does the other 8 know? Knowing and then giving them a choice whether they want to respond or not. That is the equal opportunity democratization. That is why broadcast is important.
Okay, got it.
There was one point related to broadcast, Ravi. I don't know whether we have time right now, but which was related to when the gateway returns an acknowledgement to the BAP. We should probably say how many BPPs are expected to respond so that the BAP doesn't hold on ad infinitely for getting responses from unknown number of BPPs who may respond. If I know upfront that so many BPPs are going to respond, as long as those many BPPs come, I can stop.
So this is when the gateway does an act, they'll give.
Yeah, I'm saying the gateway should do an act after doing the broadcast to the BPP so that it knows how many BPPs are expected to respond.
Okay.
Basically, today we are waiting indefinitely. I may have, let's say, 3 BPPs who are there in the network who are going to respond, but my TTL is like 10 seconds. I wait for 10 seconds because I don't know that only 3 are going to respond.
Achha. Okay. But unless and until you, so in that case, you also need to provide, okay. I mean, in your search request, you also provide how long is my search valid
I'm giving
for,
it. Right? Yeah, that I'm giving, no, as some TTL and all that I'm giving in the context.
Okay, so you're saying that if I've received 3 responses, then okay. You're saying in ACK BG responses, I have number of BPPs it has broadcasted is equal to 3. And if I receive all the 3 responses, I don't need to wait for another, like say 6 seconds.
Exactly. And these, but it is quite possible that it may be wrong because there may be 3 BPPs who have returned an ACK, but only 2 of them respond. Others have written NAC, in which case forget about it. Somebody said ACK, 3 people gave ACK, but only 2 of them responded. Then I may end up waiting for that much TTL. Now the gateway has an option in optimization
so saying about my sort of, I mean, I sort of terminate my search flow immediately, like the moment I have received the total number of BPPs.
Yeah, that is one. Second thing is like if I am expecting 3, but only 2 of them actually responded back with the answers and one guy was silent, I can actually prevent sending him the next time. I don't know what is to be done there because he is wasting my time, or maybe like for a 15-minute period or something, keep him blacklisted or something. I don't know. There needs to be something figured out where he actually gave me an act, thinking that I am thinking he is going to respond back, but actually he is not responding back.
The problem is, Venki, ACK doesn't mean that your search, he's able to service your request, right? ACK is basically, he has validated your schema and validated your signature. You still don't know whether that guy is capable of returning your search, right? Like ACK will anyways come back unless you're saying that we should also overload ACK with serviceability, right, of your search, then it makes sense.
I think that we should probably do that. Or at least return back. If we have returned an ACK, we should return back that I have nothing to give you. So that we basically know that I'm not waiting indefinitely. I think there is a fundamental problem here. We are waiting till the TTL is over for no good reason. I'm saying that problem is because the gateway is not intelligent enough to tell me that I'm done.
Increase your latency. Like, for example, if you're saying that, okay, I'm actually also doing a catalog internal search before sending ACK, whether this is actually relevant.
Oh, no. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm saying, like, basically, like, think of it like that, Google and other search providers have figured out that you are servicing this particular category and he has forwarded to you. At that case, they will send an ACK. They will not send an ACK if you don't service that category. Like, if that electronics guy gets a pillow, he will just send an ACK, or maybe he might say, whatever, or he might just return a 200 with no ACK. I don't know, whatever. We can come up with what that thing is.
This change is predicated on the assumption that there are these third-party search optimization platforms available, but that is not part of our default network architecture.
No, but I think we are saying that if the third-party search is not available, the BPP is currently expected to do it.
Correct.
The behavior has to be same.
Behavior has to be same.
Whether you get a search request, you can send me a NAC, ideally good behavior, saying that I'm not interested. Or they say, I don't know whether I'm interested yet because, I might have a product, because the processing of that search might take time, right?
Yeah.
So one way to look at it is that you say ACK and then later either response with an empty list or response nothing at all.
Correct.
Or maybe we can have another status code called maybe rejected, right? Or something.
No, I think this is what Pramod said is what might end up happening, because I don't know upfront whether I have that inventory or not. It might be something that I carry, but I may not have inventory. So let me check.
Later. Yeah.
I may be interested later, not right now. So I would want to respond to it, but I might say that, I don't have it right now.
How does this fix, Venki? For example, I may still not respond, even if are you making it compulsory that no matter what you have to respond within TTL?
No, I am saying that if you
just before the TTL, I'll respond. It still responds, no?
Yeah.
So what are we saying? So I don't know if it solves the TTL waiting problem.
No. Basically, it solves, because basically, if I am finished searching my catalog in like 50 milliseconds, I can send a response saying that I don't have anything as quickly as 50 milliseconds rather than wait for 10 seconds.
Yeah, versus 10 seconds and do nothing and let
and
it
do
time
nothing
out.
and just wait and time out. Yeah.
Okay.
More in a sense that actually respond and close it rather than let the caller wait and obviously he'll time out and then he'll figure it out.
He will figure it out.
I'm just saying that maybe if you add a little more info to it, like let's say, can a BPP also says this search is irrelevant to me?
But that will not be, that I would say that is like knack. But the thing is that the problem is you won't know whether the search is relevant to me right now or whether the search is relevant to me. It might be a product search. It might not even be a category search. So you're saying milk search is not relevant. I will give you butter search tomorrow. Then you have to tell me butter is not relevant too. So you will end up doing like one laundry list. Now, what are you going to do with all this irrelevant?
Got it. Understood. So, okay.
But I think we don't have a choice. These search providers have to emerge. The search providers are needed.
Yeah.
They have to
emerge. Then are we saying that we are adding search providers as a new?
No.
No, nothing. These are basically sitting on they are BPP TSPs, man. That's all.
But except that we could create a Beckn community channel for smart search providers and start pointing get Microsoft, Google, get whoever, just pay whoever SDK type players, good smart players in the catalog. There's another AI company here who is doing an Indian language catalog. He takes all the catalogs of various retailers, completely converts it to Indic languages. Search.
So basically, we're creating backend search players, right?
Search players, but they are not a first-class citizen on the network. They are just
they're not network management by themselves.
They are not. They are TSPs to BPPs.
Yeah.
They're tech service providers.
They're search TSPs essentially.
They basically take up they take the catalog and provide a very, very finest, smart, high performance search.
Correct.
They can offer it as an embedded SDK, SaaS, typically the SaaS play.
That is their problem.
SaaS play. I would think it is going to be a SaaS play, but mostly it will be a SaaS play, and let that be a let that be a separate channel on Discord. Let's start creating. In fact,
I think it makes
Microsoft Labs team, they are very keen. I think Sujit, you got connected, right? Connected.
Yeah.
So these are all put them in this channel, and let's do
the search is a constant recurring theme.
Let's do a proof of concept on this.
And another thing which is actually recurring in some of the calls that I am taking with respect to this accelerator is for settlement. Yeah. People are looking for settlement TSPs.
Yeah, correct. Which anyway, I think
which also we can create a channel. I'm saying from that.
Yeah, Beckn side itself, we can create it.
Yeah, we can create a channel.
By the way, Venki, as we speak today, there's a session they're holding with FinTech and bank guys, ONDC, on settlements.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's based on the discussions that Architecture Review Group has recommended.
It is.
Yeah,
and but I think Venki's point is that the Beckn channel, because Beckn is a global protocol, and
correct.
You should create some payment and settlement as a channel. Let there be some payment settlement guys who are becoming the community to activate more and more pre-created.
Just pay Setu and the likes.
Yeah, correct. Let them drive that. Correct, exactly.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Okay, I'm
just wanted to.
Yeah.
This is just one. I think we can close this for now. Just one quick thing. Is this what I've written is right? BPPs can also return an ACK.s is equal to NACK if it does not want to respond.
Yeah.
In addition to schema and signature, because this is a new feature, we'll have to actually.
And we are also saying, this is a new feature we can do, because this is when the moment search hits me, it's obvious that I don't want to even deal with it.
Is it a can or a must? BPPs must return.
It's can.
So backward compatibility and all can. And second option is that if you wanted more functional response, that means I take the search, process the search, and for some reason I realize I'm really not interested in making anything, then it will be a functional on search response with some sort of code saying that empty catalog code basically.
Oh, of course, that is fine. I mean, item not found or whatever like that.
There's no items.
No item listed.
No items to offer basically. Yeah.
Nothing to list. It's an empty item list. Items array is empty. That's all.
Got it. So no error codes in this.
No error code.
That's not an error code, but if you want to have, you can do two things, right? One, actually return the empty list, empty category, or you can ignore the whole section and return with the context attribute value, calling nothing to list equivalent. I mean, search did not find anything at all, right?
Only one thing we are trying to avoid here, Ravi, is don't send an ACK and be silent. That is what we are trying to avoid here.
Yeah, correct, exactly. I mean, they can do, but I'm just saying that's not a good behavior.
That's not good behavior. Yeah. Recommendation is either you give an ACK and be silent, or you'd give an ACK and give an empty if you're not interested.
Correct.
Or that is basically the recommended behavior. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And the gateway numbers returning also you can figure out in schema how we can return it in that ACK. That is something that creates a latency. I think Pramod might want to comment on it, but I don't know whether the time is right today. On that gateway returning how many BPPs to be expected the response from. Do you think it makes sense to add that in this? Wait till the broadcast of the BPPs and then return the ACK to the BAP. Does it make sense on the gateway side? It does put some latency from the gateway to BAP, but it gives more information that will reduce the overall time for the BAP.
Okay. Because if you're sending this additional information, then you have to send it only after you have broadcasted it to the BPPs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is obviously a natural consequence of this, right? If you can't send an immediate ACK if you don't know how many people you're transferring.
Correct. And we don't have a intermediate on search.
Yes.
I mean, on search. This on search in it. Basically, this is a search start equivalent, right? some sort of response from gateway. If you might
we
have
used to have actually way back, we used to send back something called onSearch/end back to the BAP. I think we removed it.
Okay, so
nobody was using it.
Then if you do that after broadcast, they can return an on search end and saying that I broadcasted to 10 or 100.
Yeah, that also is possible. I think. I mean, then you don't need this. Then if BGs can return an on//end, then you don't require how many BPPs it has broadcasted to.
Yeah,
then
no, on search end you have to return it as a value.
Yeah. I mean, the moment BG returns an on-search end, BAP can terminate their connection. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
That is also that. But these are two. I mean, we have to take a call.
And then wait for a direct on-search callback from BPP platforms.
From BPPs.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is also. So, I mean, which one do we go with? Like, that's what my question is.
I think we can take that separately. I think right now he has to get on to another call.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
So let's leave him. We can discuss that. We'll discuss and we'll bring back to promote what we see.
So only two things we need to keep track. Make sure our current system is able to transfer smoothly into the new system. But in the new system, avoid the gateway being a bottleneck. So I would always go for direct response back in the long term. And on the BPP side, anyway, we need catalog search optimizer TSPs, which anyway we talked about. So when that happens, even if there are 10,000 platforms, very much very, very high chance that they would all, gravitate towards a handful of good search platforms.
Gotcha. No, I think this on search directly coming to BAP. Anyways, everybody is wants it apparently. Like a lot of people have asked, why can't on search come? I think they will be quite comfortable with moving it to.
Correct.
And TSPs cannot offer the services to buyer apps. They should come only through seller apps. I mean, just want to be, otherwise they will become the aggregator of some sort.
Yeah, this is not a buyer app TSP because this is the actual catalog optimization problem. Catalog is owned by the seller.
I'm saying that they should not become the next sort of ad tech companies of selling directly to buyer apps. And then they act as the seller aggregator of seller apps. So seller
both sides, you're saying they will come in the both sides. Yeah.
No, but anyways, Sujit will not be able to stop that. I mean, they might come.
They may come, but I mean, yeah, you'll have to see.
I'm just saying that a search result from a search TSP is on behalf of seller app. It's not on they themselves. They cannot have the discretion.
So let's think about it. How we can clearly demarcate that way and not becoming just a general call search or SDK and then search. SDK can be served by everybody, both sides. So just think through this a little more. But I agree with you that the concern is a valid concern.
Yeah. Got it. Good.
Okay.
All right. I think let's close for today. So Pramod, just one last thing. When do we schedule the next call? I think there's lots of open points that we need to close. Anytime this week we can connect again.
I can do Friday. This Friday.
Okay.
I can do Friday. 11 a.m. same time.
Got it.
Possible?
We'll make it possible. It's okay. You're the bottleneck.
I may have a conflict, but I'll try and adjust it. Second half, if it's difficult, then we can do it Friday 11 a.m.